Hey up and welcome to Corey's Corner. It's been a week or so now since I've moved in to my new apartment, my new place. I actually just finished moving out today, technically, I guess, because I realised like a few days in I left some stuff in my kitchen, like my old kitchen. So I went back. I had to wait till Chang could let me in. He like went away for like a few days. I don't know where he went, but he was gone for a few days. But he said he came back and he let me in and everything, so it was fine. So yeah, I'm officially all moved out. I said I'd leave my alcohol behind. I ended up bringing it back because that wasn't the thing I left, but I just thought like since I'm here, I might as well take it too. Because I mean, I did pay for it, so I don't like the way I see it is like if I knew I was never going to drink again, I wouldn't take it. But I figure I probably will. So why waste more money, right? When I'm inevitably going to buy more anyway, so you know what I mean. I realised I said at the end of my last video that I was gonna like ask Chang to see when he was around so I could get in, and I realised like as soon as I stopped recording, like that didn't make any sense at all because it's like right there, he just has to open a door, it's not that big of a deal. And another thing I realised when I was editing the audio of last video is I said that something happened to me that really made me become like black-pilled and disillusioned with academia and like university and science and all this kind of stuff, and I said that I was going to explain what it was, but I never actually got around to it, so I'm going to talk about that now. So this is, I guess, a kind of a story time within a video, but I'm just going to tell it like it's a story. So a couple of weeks ago, I guess this is like early February probably, I mean it's this year anyway, so it's not that long ago, I had lab work, right? I had to go to the lab, and the thing about lab work is most of my classes are lectures, which is where you have like a lecture hall and it's like this big theatre basically, and you'll go sit in there and there's like a teacher at the front, you know what that is. But there's also lab work, which takes place in the lab obviously, and usually it's not like a teacher at the front, it's like instead you're doing some kind of activity. And I stopped going to my lectures a long time ago, to be honest, and that's a whole other topic. So I know people say like, oh well, why don't you go and stuff, but that I don't want to get sidetracked, so I'm not going to get into that. I do think I have a good reason, but like I say, I want to stay focused. Lab work is a little bit different because you actually get judged on the work. Like you'll get graded by the work you do in the lab, right? So I kind of have to go. So, but sometimes it's fun as well. It's like not just sitting in a lecture for an hour. It's really boring. Lab work, you actually sometimes do some interesting things, and sometimes they'll have like animals and stuff you can, I don't know, play with. But it's more interesting, I guess. So I went there the other day. And what you do is before you go into the lab, you have to put on your lab coat, and there's like a bunch of lockers all outside, so you have to put like stuff away in the lockers and then line up to get inside. So I did that, and then when you're actually inside the lab, there's like a table like as you come in where you have to sign your name and stuff like that to prove your attendance. So it takes like a while for like the point I'm trying to make is there's a line coming out of the lab, and it takes a while for people to actually get in because you have to sign your name, and after you sign your name they put you in groups. So a lot of the times you'll be in pairs, and sometimes they'll like group people up with even more than that, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of working in pairs and groups and stuff. But anyway, I was standing outside of this lab, and there were these two girls in front of me in the line, and they looked pretty ridiculous. One of them, I think I recognise her, she's got like a walking stick. I don't know why, but there's so many like cripples in the class. I don't know if that's the right term to use or whatever, but there's so many like wheelchair people and stuff like that. Like I don't even know how you met. How did they even get in? You know what I mean? Like how did you even get here? So there's this girl with a walking stick, and she has like bright red dyed hair, like like a not a buzz cut, but very short hair, like shorter than mine, way shorter than mine. Bright red, like not like a redhead like Ginger, like bright fluorescent red dyed hair, and these huge ridiculous like Harry Potter glasses on her head, like metal round glasses. She looks ridiculous. She looks like an owl that's had its head cut open. It's got its brain pouring out, right? And there's the other one, and she's quite bloke max to say the least. She's pretty fat. She had just ridiculous makeup. Like it looked like it was applied by a clown, and it was like blind, and it was just like guessing what to do. And she had like these, like for example like eyeliner, I guess, like on the top of her eyes, but it was like streaky, and it went off like past her eyes to the rest of her face. Like why have you done that? It looks ridiculous. And makeup's one of those things that's like women only apply makeup for themselves. Like men really, like realistically, like how many men care about that kind of thing? you know, like nails and makeup and stuff. Like, who cares, really? Like, no one cares. You know, I see a lot of women complain about, like, the societal expectations or whatever on women to wear makeup, and it's like, I actually think it would be much better if men were, like, permitted to do something kind of similar, because it's like, you know, like, at the end of the day, if you're ugly and you're a guy, you're just ugly. Like, there's nothing, you know, you're not going to do anything about it. So if anything, it's kind of actually like to have the opportunity to have makeup and make yourself go from, like, even the name makeup, I must have said this before, but even the name makeup, like, make up, you're making up for something. It doesn't, you know, a makeup isn't going to turn a 3 into an 8, but it sure as hell is going to turn like a 4 into a 6, you know what I mean? And that's just, it adds to you know, the value of women on the, you know, sexual marketplace, I guess, because if you imagine it like this, there's the term hoflation gets thrown around a lot, and that's like, I don't think it's the correct term, because, you know, inflation is when something loses its value because there's a lot of it, and the word hoflation would imply that that's women, like women are losing their value. But if anything, it's actually the opposite. It's like there's too many men, there's more men looking for relationships than women, so the men then become worth less to the women. And that's like what we're seeing right now, where men are like, women who are somewhere on the 1 to 10 ladder are like pushed up higher artificially, because there's so many, you know, men in comparison to women who are looking for relationships. But then makeup is just another thing that boosts women up even more, as if they needed to be boosted even more. So you can have like a 5 out of 10 women, because there's so many more men than women. A 5 out of 10 is effectively like an 8 out of 10, and then makeup can make it become a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It's, you know, what are you going to do? Like, really, you know? But, you know, I don't want to paint the picture that this woman, you know, in front of me was a 10 out of 10, because neither of them were at all. Like, we're talking about like some sub 5 females, right? And there's this other guy standing behind me in the line, and he has like curly hair, and he looks, I don't know, just relatively normal, right, I guess. And we go in, and I'm thinking, like, look, I'm either going to be with one of these girls or this guy behind me if we get in pairs, because one's in front of me, one's behind me, right? So that's what I'm thinking. So I go in, and it turns out we're working in groups, and I get put with all 3 of these people, okay? And I'm not happy straight away. And this girl starts speaking, and I'm like, no offense or whatever, but she had like a really, really like grating American accent. And yeah, maybe it's rich for me to be talking about this, to talk about people who have annoying accents, but seriously, like, every word she said. And I'll say right now what we were doing. We were working with like mice. We were doing like animal testing, and we had these like mazes, and we'd put the mice in, or the mouse, I guess, in the maze, and then it would like try and run the maze. And whenever she was like anywhere near the mouse, she'd like lean down to it, and she'd be like, hey buddy, hey, how are you, hey buddy, are you okay? And in her like American accent, and it's so annoying. Maybe it doesn't sound that annoying how I'm describing it, but I promise you it was non-stop. I had, you know, and this is early in the morning, I'd woken up to come to this shit, and this is, you know, this is what I'm hearing. And we have to do this test, and it sounds kind of fun. Like, you're working with mice, you're playing with them, they're in the maze, there's a bit of food at the end of the maze, and you think, okay, it's fine, right? But just everything they were doing, these people, like, they were just so annoying. And even the guy, like, you think, oh well, at least there's another guy there, right? But he's, if anything, he's probably the worst. What he does is he like starts to talk, but then he like trails off everything he says. So he'll say like, do you think we should do? It's like, what are you saying? What do you mean? What does that even mean? You know, he'd be like, hey, did you get the? And it's like, I could not understand a word this guy was saying to me. He had like his mouth like open, and he was like kind of drooling out of it. It looked like his lips were like wet. I'm pretty sure he was probably like high or something. Like, he looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Like, half of the people here at this school, and probably all the universities, are on some kind of drug at any given time, to be honest, or high. It's just how it goes here, right? But this isn't even, you know, like, you're thinking like, how is this anything out of the ordinary, right? Well, I'm getting to the thing that really kind of pissed me off, actually. This actually made me angry when I saw this. So we were running these animal tests with these mice, and, you know, the word animal testing sounds kind of bad. Like, people think of animal testing and they're like, oh, that's, you know, bad. But we were just putting the mice in mazes and stuff. They weren't, you know, nothing like bad was happening to them, right? But then they also had a second experiment, I guess. So if you finished the work, they had like extra work to do, you know, how they have like an extension task or whatever. So there was this other table set up, and if you finished early, then you went over there. So, you know, we finished and we went over there to see what was going on. And they had these like lizards out. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I myself have a lizard, or I guess had a lizard. Right now my mum's taking care of it. It's back in my hometown because unfortunately, I live in a tiny little apartment. I don't have the room really to take care of it, and I'm pretty sure I'm not even allowed pets or animals here. So, believe me, if I could, I would have her here, but unfortunately I don't. Had her for a few years, and she's a leopard gecko, which does matter because these were the same kind of lizards. They're called leopard geckos. They're very common beginner reptile, pet lizard. And all of this is relevant. I am bringing this all up for a reason, by the way. You'll see why in a minute. So I was kind of excited to see these here, right? But I was also a little bit skeptical, and I'll tell you why. So maybe a year and a half ago, I guess, I came to this university, on an open day, and these are like for people who are like in high school and they're gonna like go to college but they don't know where they want to go, so they go to like open days, and it's a chance for the school to like show off basically and give information to people, right? So I went on this open day and I was looking around the lab. Like, this is the same lab as I was doing this like lab work in. I was looking around this lab like a year and a half ago, and they had a bunch of animals out because obviously they're going to show off like cool things that people want to see. They're not going to show the realities of the school. And that's another thing, I used to volunteer at my high school for these open days, and they would always make it look so fun. Like in the science science areas, they'd have like chemicals and stuff, and they'd be making all kinds of cool stuff, and they'd have like animal dissections. Like I remember I helped out in biology, and they had like a set of lungs and they were like blowing into it and stuff. And then you actually go to the school and it's just a straight up lie. It's like that's literally what it is. It's complete misinformation. Like I remember my school when I was going to join my high school on the open day. This is like years and years ago. They were like talking about in the maths department. They were like, "Oh, what we do in the maths department is we teach kids in a fun way. So you'll like get to design your own buildings and stuff, to understand measurements and shapes. You get to like draw stuff and make models and stuff." And like, spoiler alert, we never did that. We had like 20 teachers in the space of 2 years, and we never ever did that. Complete bullshit. And the same goes for the university, I guess. But I was at the back to my point. I was on this open day, and they had the same leopard geckos out in these like containers. And the containers had like a substrate, which is like the name for the thing on the floor of the container that like the animal walks on, right? And the substrate in these containers was sand. And that might not sound like a big deal if you're not in the know, but sand is actually really bad for these animals, because what they do is they'll bite and they'll end up ingesting sand, and it gets stuck in their digestive tract, and they have no way to digest it, and they end up dying from it. It's called impaction, and it's a very common cause of leopard gecko death. Certainly, I'm sure there's many other reptiles that it applies to as well. And the thing about impaction is you can't really research leopard gecko care or look up how to take care of these animals for really like 5 minutes without seeing this. So it really, the fact that they were keeping them on sand is very concerning, right? Not only because it's bad for these animals, but also because this is like supposedly an educational institute. This is a university, right? This is a place advertising itself as like a place of learning, yet they can't get this basic simple thing correct, right? The thing is, I was in a pet store once, a few years ago, when I was looking for my lizard, and I went in one of these kind of pet stores. It's a real kind of pikey pet store, that you get these ones. There's like some random like Eastern European or Asian guy who owns it, and you go inside and it's also cramped in there. It's just terrible conditions. And you go inside, and I saw like this leopard gecko in like a tiny little container. It had sand on the bottom, and the thing looked fucking miserable. Its tail was all shriveled up, and it was clearly on death's door. And I was just feeling sorry for the poor thing, And you go to these big like chain pet stores as well, and you usually see something similar there, but that's usually just because they don't know any better. And in these kind of knockoff pet stores, I'm sure they're prioritizing money over the actual well-being of the animal, but also I don't think they really know what they're doing there either. But the university has no excuse, because they have funding, they have money, and they have, or should have, the know-how, and the intelligence to deal with this, right? Yeah, there it was, and I was at this open day, and I remember seeing this, and I said there was like a woman there who was showing them off, and I said to her, you're not meant to keep them on sand, right? And the thing about me is, like, and you guys, anyone who's watched me for any amount of time will know this, I'm very, very non-confrontational. Like, that's just who I am. Like, I will not start a fight with anyone over anything. But, you know, when it comes to animals and stuff, it's just one of those things that I really don't approve of, you know. And I would step up if something like that was the case, and I know I would because I did. So I said to her, you know, look, like, you're not meant to keep them on sand. And she was like, oh well, it's temporary holding. We don't usually keep them on sand. And the answer doesn't make any fucking sense, because it's like, well, you had to go out of your way to go and find sand to put them on. Like, the default position of the substrate is to be nothing. It would just, like, it would be, if you're just showing them off temporarily to people, it would be better to have them on plastic. And so they have some kind of permanent holding where the substrate isn't sand. So why wouldn't you just use that same substrate? And to be clear, like, I don't believe her at all. I think she was just bullshitting. I think she was probably just a volunteer who had no idea what she was talking about. And they probably do keep them on sand 24/7, which is like a terrible thing to do. But whatever, you know. They were saying this thing, like I explained, you know, if you finish the main activity, there's this like extension work over here, and it's to do with leopard geckos. And I was thinking, oh, you know, leopard gecko, I remember seeing them on the open day. Maybe they've done something to improve the conditions they're being kept in. Went over there, no, it's exactly the same as it was a year and a half ago. Obviously, since I mentioned it to them, they've done nothing to take that, you know, feedback on board. And you might say, you know, why would they listen to you? You're just one guy, they're a whole university, why would they care what you have to say? And, you know, that's kind of a fair point, but the thing is, I'd say this, that if I was, I don't know, showing someone my lizard, and they said to me, oh, you know, you're doing something wrong, that's actually bad for them, you're not meant to do that, I wouldn't, like, rest, really, until I got to the bottom of it and found out, like, hey, like, is this actually good or not? Like, 'cause I actually, you know, care about animals for a start, but also I'm, you know, trying to be humble and admit if I do something wrong. The problem with the university, and this is what just blackpilled me so badly about it, and why I'm so, like, disillusioned with it now, as if I wasn't before, but, like, even more so, is there's no mechanism for change. There's no capacity to admit that they're wrong about something. It's just headstrong, you know, just determined hubris, basically. They had this couple helping out. What they do in the lab work is they have, like, upperclassmen come in and volunteer to be assistants, because there's you know, you have one teacher and like 50 kids, you can't cover it all. So they had these two upperclassmen helping out, and I know these people, I've spoken to them before. It's like a guy and a girl, sort of. This guy looks like an idiot. He looks like a gay version of Matt Walsh, you know, like the transgender guy who talks about, like, what is a woman. He looks like a gay version of him. He's got, like, a man bun on his head, like a whole tattoo sleeves, a bunch of stupid bracelets and stuff. Like, he looks like a massive hippity hipster. And I was speaking to this guy one day about changing my major, because my major was, I was thinking of changing it to biology. Because I just was like, I'm not doing that anymore, because there's no point, there's nothing I can switch my major to that's going to be a good major. But I was speaking to him, like, do you think I should do that, do you think I should not do that? And he basically told me that he and his, like, fiance, this is the girl who always hangs out with him, this was the second upperclassman, he was saying, like, how they're like going on their honeymoon to, like, Venice or something, because that's where his fiance wants to go. And he said it to me, the way he said it was like, oh, well, she really loves Venice, so that's where we're going. But he didn't say that. He said, Z really loves Venice. And I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? But I realised he was using gender-neutral pronouns to refer to her. And that was just like, that was when I realised, like, I'm surrounded by retards, like really. And we got this, like, sheet, we got this handout at the end of one of the other lab practical thingies, where it was like a survey. You had to fill it out. So it was like, hey, how would you rate your experience? And one of the questions they asked was, like, you know, state your name, what's your, like, email and stuff. And then it asked, what gender do you identify as? And there were, like, 10 different options. And this is a science class, you know, this is a science class, and they're asking this shit. I think I might have mentioned that before, actually, but it's just so retarded. But yeah, it was these two upperclassmen specifically, and they were picking up these lizards, and what you can do with leopard geckos is you can handle them. They actually benefit from some handling. You know, if you have a pet leopard gecko, like, it's good to hold them. And they were holding them, and you could just tell these little things were miserable, because they're being kept on sand. They're probably dying, to be honest. And there was this, like, semicircle of kids all around them, all oohing and ahhing, and you could see it on the faces of these two upperclassmen that they just loved the attention. And they were looking at each other, clearly thinking, like, oh, look how fucking smart we are. We're upperclassmen. We've been at this university for so long, and we're holding out this lizard, and we know everything there is to know about it. And all these kids think we're amazing, and all the kids were probably looking like, wow, it's so cool. And I was looking, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but as someone who has probably more experience and obviously does have more experience and knowledge about these animals, because I'm not fucking killing them, you know, more specifically about leopard geckos, I was just looking on, and I was just it's an embarrassment, you know, it really is. And it just made me sick looking on their faces, their smug faces, as they grinned away to each other. Look how smart we are. Oh, I'm gender neutral. Oh, look at me, I've got a lizard. Oh, look at me. Oh, look at me. It made me sick to my core. It absolutely disgusted me. I just packed my stuff up, I left there, and then I went home because it was too blackpilling for me to even stay. You know, I said something to them over a year ago and they haven't done anything, and they're still just, it made me sick. And I know people might think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here, but I hope some people see why this annoyed me as much as it angered me as much as it did, because it's just, and the thing as well is, this is a very basic fact, right? Like, when I was a literal child, I could have told you that. When I was like 15 and I got my lizard for the first time, like, I could have told you, you're not meant to do that. And look, and the university can't even figure that out. So my point is, if the university can't even get something that basic correct, how the hell is it going to teach us anything that is actually worth learning? You know, like the university advertises itself as oh, this is the future is now, you know, we're making the future here, you know, and it's like, no, you're not. You can't do anything. If you can't get that right, nothing else, like nothing that any of my lecturers say, nothing my tutor says, nothing that the textbook says, none of it at all can be taken on faith, because they have gotten this wrong already. So nothing else can be taken in good faith. I hope like people see why that's such a big deal to me. And like, don't get me wrong, like I didn't trust academia or anything like that before this happened to me. You know, I kind of knew it's all bullshit, to be honest, but this event specifically, like, was actually like an emotional incident where it was like, it wasn't just like me oh yeah, you know, it makes sense that it's all stupid and stuff, but it was actually like an experience that showed me firsthand, like, yeah, they actually have no idea what they're talking about. Another thing is, like, I tried to vent to my family about this, and I tried to tell them, and I told like my mum, and she was like, I wanted to see, because my mum's the one taking care of my lizard, right? So I wanted to see if she knew. So I didn't tell her that keeping them on sand is bad for them. I just told her, and she actually said to me, "Aren't you meant not to keep them on sand? Like, isn't it bad for them?" And I was kind of happy to hear that, because it shows that, you know, my pet's in good hands, I guess. I do trust my mum with my lizard, I'll say that. But then I called my cousin, because I call my cousins. I talk to my cousin sometimes, and she's a bit older than me, and she's really annoying to be like. To be honest, I mean, well, if my family ever finds my channel anyway, I'm fucked anyway, aren't I? So I'll just say I really don't like her that much, but you gotta talk to who you gotta talk to. And it's very hit or miss, because sometimes like she'll be on my side, but sometimes she won't be. So I called her and I talked to her about this, and she clearly did not fucking understand at all what I was talking about. She was like, "Oh yeah, I totally get why that's annoying, but you know what? And she did it in this stupid annoying voice. She's like, "You know what?" And she has such a chavvy fucking accent too, but that's besides the point. She's like, "You know what? You know, let me tell you something. You know what? Sometimes that's just life, you know." And she thinks because she's older than me and because she's like a teacher, she knows shit. She doesn't fucking know shit. She doesn't know anything at all. You know, like she's the one who's doing like this like therapy shit. Like she's trying to become a fucking therapist. And she was telling me like how in her training she had this client come to her who was like a man, and he was like miserable and like depressed and shit. And she basically said to him, she told me this like proudly, like I was going to hear this and be like, "Oh yeah, you did a great job." She told me that this guy came to her saying this, and she said to him, like, "Look, do you want to get better, or do you just want to stay miserable? You know, like, are you just trying to stay miserable?" And it's just the most and I'll tell you what that is as well. First of all, I'll tell you, if you're a man, and like people tell people all the time, "Oh, get therapy." You know, if you're an incel, get therapy. Don't get therapy. It's a complete fucking waste of time. Okay, but if you're a man and you're going to like a therapist like this, the issue is that they're trained specifically to deal with like over-dramatic teenage girls who are going to come to them and be like, "Oh, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, oh no, I can't do," and they're just going to prescribe them some fucking meds and give them a bit of attention that they're clearly lacking and send them on their way, and that'll fix them. When you come across someone like a man who's like has actual problems in their life, like this guy's depressed for a fucking reason, and you know, you give them a session or two of therapy, give them some meds and talk to them, and it doesn't solve their problems, because fucking of course it doesn't solve their problems, and they're still miserable and depressed. As a therapist, it's like intimidating, because you've done everything you're trained to do and it hasn't solved the problem. So what they immediately resort to is to blame the victim, right? They're blaming the man. They're like, "Oh, do you want to stay miserable? Do you not want to get better?" It's the most retarded fucking shit ever. So this is the person I have to fucking talk to about this, okay? And I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh, that's just life. Sometimes you," and clearly that's just life. You just got to deal with it sometimes. That response makes no fucking sense to the problem that I encountered, right? That doesn't make any sense at all. And this is what I'm talking about: therapy and that whole mindset of talking about your feelings. Like, I talk about my feelings on my channel, like that's my whole hobby of doing YouTube, right? But I recognize that this doesn't solve any of my fucking. If I have a problem, I go and solve it. Like, I don't, if I have like a genuine problem in my life that I can solve, I go and solve it. I don't. My first reaction isn't to go to fucking YouTube and be like, so today I went to the lab and there were lizards and it made me really sad because they were on the thing. Like, no, dude. I tried it. Like, the first time I saw that, I told them. Then they fucking ignored me. Then there's nothing I can do. So I'm just gonna talk about it. And that's all I can do, right? But if I have a fucking solution, I'm gonna. Oh, fuck me, I'm ranting now, I know, but like, come on, like, what am I meant to say to that? I just ended up being like, yeah, and I just hung up the call, because what can you even do at that point? But yeah, my family have been annoying me too, to be honest with you. I'm trying to find like a summer job. I know it's only like March, but my family's like booked this holiday for me. Well, not for me, but for us. In the summertime in July, and you think, oh, that's great, it's a holiday. What's there to complain about that? Well, listen, okay. It's like a caravan holiday on the Isle of Wight, which is not like, I'm not complaining about the quality of the holiday, because a holiday's a holiday. I'm not, I'm not saying like, oh, if I'm not being flown out to Spain, it's not good enough or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just, it's not, when you think of a holiday, don't picture some like 5-star resort. Okay, I'm in a caravan, probably shivering away on the Isle of Wight for a week. It's not that big. It's not, a great thing, right? But the real annoying thing about this is I have to share a room with someone. And I'm like a grown man and I have to share a room with someone, and the person I'm sharing a room with is this kid who's he's not even like related to me biologically, but he's like, I don't know what the term is, like the politically correct term, whatever, but he's like mentally retarded. Like, he is like, he can't speak. He's like around my age, a bit younger, but he just like makes noises and stuff. They say he has like autism, but he definitely has a lot more than that. Like, there's a lot more wrong with him. Like, when you think of someone who is a complete mentally disabled, like, as bad as it gets, okay? Like, he like screams and stuff, he does all this shit, and I have to share a room with this fucking guy for a week, okay? I don't want to do that shit. So to try and get out of that, I'm gonna try and get a summer job and just say like, oh, I can't come because I've got a summer job. But my family keep fucking getting on my ass about that. They're like, oh, you are coming, aren't you, in the summer? And I just say like, yeah, well, if I can, yeah. I'm trying to like prepare them for it, I'm trying to like groom my family, not groom in that way, but I'm trying to I don't know what the word is, but I'm trying to prepare them for the fact that I'm not going to go, basically. And the thing is, like, I'm not actually like related biologically to any of these people in my family. Like, you have to consider that as well. So there's a huge personality clash there straight off the bat, and like, I just don't get along with these fucking people, okay? And like, ever since I was like a kid, as far as I can remember, I just cannot wait. I couldn't wait to fly the nest, and now I'm finally gone. They ain't getting me back that easily, let me tell you. But another thing I was thinking about earlier today was this time I went to Berlin on holiday with my family, and this was supposedly my my gift, my 18th birthday gift, right? So this is just so fucking ridiculous, okay? So this was supposedly my gift, but I had to pay. It's not a gift if you have to pay for yourself, right? It's like taking someone to a store and then asking them to pick something out for their birthday, and then it's like, okay, well, you got to pay now. It's not a gift. You're just going with them, right? And again, like, I'm not being entitled. Like, I don't expect someone to pay for me to go on holiday, but it's it's not a gift, right? But my family kept saying to me, oh, this is your birthday present, it's your birthday gift. It's not my birthday gift, right? I had to pay for my own fucking flight. Okay, so we go to Berlin, and we're there for what, 3 nights, so that's 2 whole days, plus like the day before we go, like and the day when we arrive, right? So that's like 4 days basically. I like planned the whole trip out because like this was my, like, I chose to go to Berlin. That's the thing, I wanted to go to Berlin. So my family's like, oh, we'll go to Berlin. And like, this is the thing as well, I'll say this: if you're a sub 5, if you're a man, don't, and really if you're anyone, to be honest, don't let your family in on any of your plans. Like, just like, whatever you want to do, just do it yourself. Don't involve them. I remember like when I was a kid, I wanted like pets and stuff, and I wanted to do this and that, and I talked to my family about it, and they would always fucking ruin it. They'd always water it down to be some stupid fucking shit like this. Like, perfect example, like, I wasn't even a kid here. Like, I was like an actual like adult. This was my 18th birthday present. I went to Berlin, and they completely ruined it. So I do all this planning, and there's like a bunch of places that they want to go to that they make me like sketch into the, you know, plan or whatever. But then there's a bunch of places I want to go to, and they're like, oh, we don't want to go there, so I don't get to go. There's like this massive stadium. There's like an Olympic stadium. Well, we're not going there. We don't want to go there. That looks boring. We don't want to go there. Okay, well, fine. There's like a museum about the police, like the East Germany police in like the city as well. Oh, we don't want to go there, that's boring. We don't want to learn about East Berlin, that's boring. We don't want to go there. Okay, well, I guess we're not going there. But then they say to me, oh, we want to go to the Holocaust Museum. It's like, well, I don't want to go to the Holocaust Museum. They're like, oh, well, tough, you need to plan it. And so we ended up going there, and it's just like, it's completely unfair. And again, like, this is, and they keep saying to me, like, the whole time we're there, they're like, oh, so how do you like your trip so far? How's your birthday gift? How's your birthday trip? And it's like, you just want to say, just fuck off, you know. And they're telling all the people around us, you know, like, we're in this restaurant that they chose. They're like, oh, we need to go to this specific restaurant because we always like to go there. Oh, you know, in any city we're in, we always go to a Hard Rock Cafe. That's just how we do. If there's a Hard Rock Cafe, we just have to go there. Oh, well, I don't want to go to the Hard Rock Cafe. Oh, well, tough, you know, you book it anyway, right? So we go there, and the waitress comes over, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is our son. And at first, like, first of all, I'm not your son. But then they're like, oh, this is our son, and this is his birthday trip. Isn't it wonderful being in Berlin? You know, and it's like, what are you talking about? This is my fucking birthday trip. But to make this even fucking worse, okay, there was my cousin who came with us as well, that I'm talking about. I was just talking about earlier. And one of the days we were in Berlin, because my birthday's in July, but we went in like October, so it's not even like a birthday trip really. But whatever. One of the days is her birthday, okay? One of the days we're in Berlin is actually her birthday. So we have to spend the whole day doing whatever she wants to do, right? And it's not like I got to choose what we did on the other days. No, this is the whole time, but on this specific day. And I had to like buy her a gift and stuff, which is like, okay, like I guess that makes sense. But it's just so insulting, you know? And my point is, like, I know this sounds like I'm just bitching and complaining, but like, whenever you do stuff with your family, people will always make something about themselves. If you want to do something properly, do it yourself, okay? And if you want to have fun doing something, do it alone. Like, seriously. Like, either do something alone, or if you're going to do something with someone, make sure it's someone, first of all, make sure it's someone who's a man. Don't do it with a woman, first of all. But also, make sure it's someone that you trust and has the same, you know, goals as you. So, like, if I went to Berlin, I would only go to Berlin with someone else if, or now anyway, if I knew they wanted to go and do the same things I wanted to do. I should actually go to Berlin, dude, like, just myself. Because I looked at it, it's pretty cheap to go, like, I can just, yeah, you know, I'm actually going to do that. I'm gonna go to Berlin for like in like April. Like, I have the Easter holidays, like I have Easter break. I'm just gonna go to Berlin for like 2 nights. Yeah, because I can like live stream it as well, because I actually really enjoyed it. I went to Liverpool and did like a live stream and like an IRL live stream. I really enjoyed that, and I got Streamlabs since then, because I know people wanted to like donate and stuff. It's not that I want money, but I'm just like, you know, I know people send like text to speech messages and stuff, and it looked pretty funny, so I set that up. So yeah, I'm gonna probably, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to say right now, in April I'm going to Berlin, I'm going for 2 nights, just me, and I'm going to do IRL live streaming again, because I had a lot of fun doing it, so yeah, I'll say that right now. But you see my point, right? And it's just like, my family's been annoying me so fucking much, dude. But, you know, what can you do? Family, you can't live with them, and apparently you can't live without them, you know. And like, I do, you know, don't get me wrong, like, I do love my family, I guess, like some of them I don't like, though, to be honest. But it's like, I would just rather be left alone, you know. My family doesn't know me, because this is how I know my family doesn't understand me at all, is that whenever I'm just a naturally quiet person in real life, and I like to keep to myself, and whenever I'm like that, my family says to me, oh, you've clearly been spending too much time by yourself, you know, you get weird when you're by yourself too long, you need to hang out with us. And then they make me do stuff with them, and that just makes it so much worse. And they treat me like I'm like an edgy teenager or something. It's like, no, you know, I'm an adult, but it's just who I am. Some people are more extroverted, some people are more introverted, you know. It's just a genetic thing, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not genetically related to these people, so we're just complete personality clash. You know, completely opposed personalities. Hopefully, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have another video coming out before next Monday, and it's going to be something it's not going to be Blackpill related at all. It's just, I've got something planned for later today, actually. In fact, this video actually should come out a few hours earlier than usual, because of this thing that I'm doing, like Monday evening, Monday afternoon. I'm going to go out somewhere, film a new video, and I'm not going to say what it is about yet, but it is something pretty interesting. I hope you guys will enjoy it, and yeah, so yeah, until then, Depending on wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And I will see you next time. Bye.